Hey, what's happening everybody? My name is Haydn Adams with A Designer Who Codes. And in this tutorial, I want to talk about customizing an HTML5 audio player. Now, I have been a fan of this audio player for a while. You can find it by Google searching the React H5 audio player or going to GitHub/LHZ516 React H5 audio player. In this tutorial, I want to show you how we can use this tool, which is amazing, to add audio to our websites and customize it. I have two examples that I have on my websites. I have this long, big one up here on my website at kiaranapodcast.com, and I also use it on my own website at nautilusdesigns.com. And you have it also right down here, and you can see it's HTML5. I'm running a simulator. If I come down and I play it, it plays. So this will work fully in any browser, any software, whether it be, I guess, Mozilla Firefox or Chrome, also any mobile environment, and notice how it scales. So I have it set up where it's small in this little column, but it's large on the mobile device. I'm gonna take you through how to do that right now. All right, welcome back. Once again, my name is Haydn Adams with A Designer Who Codes. Also, if you are interested in using these source files, I will provide a link at the end of the video for you to download these if you want to see how I did it and actually mimic my source code as well. So what I have here is I just installed, if we scroll back up, nope, that's Gatsby. I just installed the HTML5 audio player using Yarn, and I also launched Gatsby Develop. Now, I really like using the Gatsby starter default, but I customize it. So if I pull up localhost, what I like to do is start with the Gatsby starter default, but give it a spin and also add React Bootstrap to my project. So you'll see the Gatsby spaceman, he's still there, but I just give it a little bit of a twist to give it my own design parameters. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start inside my source folder and head to my pages and my index.js. I'm using Visual Studio Code, the truly best source code out there. So what I have to first do is pull up the documentation to see how I add it to my project. So I have my GitHub file pulled up that I'm using, courtesy of this wonderful React H5 audio player. And if I scroll down, I've already done the installation. You can use npm I React, or I like to use Yarn quite a bit. So I used Yarn add React H5 audio player. The next step I have to do is add two imports. I'm gonna import the audio player from React H5, and I'm also gonna bring in the styles, and then I'm gonna customize the styles afterwards. So I'm gonna copy and paste these two areas, put it wherever you want it. If you want it in your components area, that's totally fine. Since I'm working on this demo, I'm just going to use the index.js file for right now. I'm going to drop it right inside of my file. It's going to go scroll dark because I haven't used it yet. And what I'm going to do is then go, okay, well, I have to add the audio player. So I'm going to copy and paste the audio player. And inside, I'll put it right below hi people. I'll drop it in. Now, right now it's not going to work because I don't have any audio files for it to work in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some audio. So inside of my folder structure, I create a folder called audio. And in there is an MP3 file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import that up to the top and say import demo audio from, since I'm in my pages folder, I'll go out and I'll go to audio. And I copied and pasted previously, so I have Anthony Brown, what to expect in the Cook Islands as a visitor, .mp3. Now I can use that demo audio down here under the source. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out the quotes, drop in a curly bracket, and add demo audio. And I'll take out this on play, because it's just gonna console log that one. And for me, I don't need it. And for the fun of it, we'll create autoplay. I do not recommend autoplay in the long run, just because you don't want it to autoplay for your visitors who have headphones on a mobile site, and then the usability just drops to pure 0. So if I save that, let me head over to Safari. And I'm going to click on
Just
play.
want to give a quick shout out to all of our loyal listeners out there.
And it's playing. Now it does fit full width. So as you can see, as I move it, it moves back and forth. By default, it just works, but it's pretty boring. It's pretty too much going on. I don't need this different element on this left. I don't need these areas on the left and right of the play button. I just want to play pause it. And also what I do not want is this big blue area to show up around the screen, because when I click, that's an outline. So I want to customize the look of this player. The first step, of course, is getting it to work. The next step is to properly customize it. Now I have React Bootstrap installed already, so I'm just going to add a basic container and some rows just to make it move around a little bit. What I'm going to do is inside React Bootstrap, I'm just going to copy and paste this import button just so we can move things around in React Bootstrap. And I'll take out the button and say container row call. Once again, I've previously installed React Bootstrap, so if you don't know how to do that, head over to reactbootstrap.com and head to the introduction area. And in there, after you run npm install, or you can use yarn, all I have to do is I have to import some kind of component for it to work. In this case, I want to use container, row, and call from React Bootstrap to move the audio player. So I'm going to cut this audio player for 1 second, and I'm going to write container, and I will say row LG, we'll say 4. Oops, 4. In here, I'm sorry, wait a second, not the row, we need to do calls. I am thinking and talking too fast for my own good. There we go. In the row, we're going to say call LG equals 4, and then drop the audio player in. I'm going to take that out, and I'll scoot these up a little forward just because I am a stickler to indentation. It helps you in the long run. So all I did was I added a container, a row, and a column using React Bootstrap, and when I save it and come back to my project and I refresh, it's just a little smaller. That's all I wanted to do, and it'll move. Notice how it gets bigger on a smaller size screen, and it gets smaller on a larger size screen. That's courtesy of the container and saying after the large size of the column. So I just want to do a little bit of adjustment to the design. So once again, as you see, it gets bigger on the smaller screen, and that's courtesy of React Bootstrap. So we have the positioning done on the website in theory. It's sitting right there where I want it, but now I want to customize the look of it. I think of customizing the look in 2 stages. The first stage I want to do is I want to get the layout down. I want to say, well, do I want the components? Do I not want the components inside of here? So the great part about this plugin is that it also gives you options to change the look of it. And I always say start with the layout first and the design second. So let's go, if we head back to that famous page, which once again was LHZ516/React H5 audio player, down the screen, you're going to say live demo storybook. And in here is going to give you a plethora of options. So what I can do is I can say, you know what? Hide all controls. No, I don't really want that. But what I want to do is I at least want to hide this button on the left-hand side. So what I'll do is I'll say show code, and I can say custom additional controls remove. So if I copy and paste this over to audio player and paste it in, React or Gatsby is going to rebuild. Now you'll notice that it's gone. If that's the case you don't want, perfect. What I also want to do is let's remove the volume. Let's hide the volume because most browsers, because they don't support volume control. So source code will can say custom volume controls. I want to take this out as well. So what we'll do is paste it in, take a look, And now all I have is the audio up top, the scroll bar, the total time, because that's how long the audio is showing, and I have play, forward, and reverse. What I'm also going to do is that I'm also going to take all the controls, which are essentially the left and right pieces, and remove them as well. I like to have a clean design. That's just kind of how I operate and work. You notice from the previous 2 projects that I did. So I'll add the third one, custom additional controls, show jump controls false, and custom volume controls as well. Perfect. But to me, what I want to do is I want to move this play button up to the top. So if we come back and we say, you know what? Now I want to look at the layouts and I can see how is this going to fit. So I'll scroll through, and to me, I want the horizontal reversed. I want the play pause on the left-hand side and the audio over here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to say layout equals horizontal reversed. And when I copy this in and I paste it, I usually put it at the top, but that's just me. Now I have a better looking design from a layout perspective. I have my play button, and let's make sure it still works.
Just want to give a quick shout out to all of our loyal listeners out there.
There we go. So it's looking pretty good from a layout perspective in this case. And once again, you can go back to that storybook and you can add as much as you want. You can lay out the design as you want. You can choose how you want it to look. I just want to give you examples of how I would do it in a basic design situation. So I added layout, custom additional controls, none, show jump controls false, custom volume controls, none, and the source is still the demo audio. And for me, the layout is good, but I want to do some more changes to this design. For the layout, I did use Safari, but for the design, I'm going to use Chrome's Inspect Editor, which you can find by hitting Control key and heading over here and inspecting the different areas. I always think about design as biggest to smallest, top to bottom. And for me, there's nothing more annoying than this big outline showing up on the screen. So if we take a look at our Inspect Editor, we can see that what I'm going to do is the RHAP underscore container is the class that holds everything together. So what I want to do is I want to set an outline and take it out. Now I have a custom CSS file that I already have built into my project, and it just sits inside of my source folder as a CSS file. You can put this anywhere, but my template just has it built in, already ready to go. So what I want to do is I'm going to type period for class RHAP underscore container, and then I'm going to put the curly brackets since I'm in CSS, and I'm going to say outline and then say colon none. And now what it's going to do is it's going to take the outline off of the container. So I refresh and I click. Well, if you noticed what happened, great. It took it off of the container, but it put it inside the play pause. So this is going to happen down and down the line as you have more and more controls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add something else to this class. I'm going to say comma and say period for class RHAP underscore container asterisk colon focus. That's going to turn off anytime you click or you focus in on something to outline none. It would be great if I have to worry about it, but because the play turns into pause, it gives user feedback, thereby I don't have to worry about the focus. So if I hit save, and I'm going to refresh to make sure it works, now when I click, there's no change. I can click anywhere. I'm mouse clicking, if you can see virtually. I'm clicking on the screen and there is no outline. Awesome, we got rid of that. The next change I want to do is change the color around inside this box, the shadow, and I also want to change the look of the color of this button. So for fun, we're going to go to super dark mode. I'm going to add a body background color just for demonstration purposes only. I'll say background color and change it to black. I want my website, oh, there it is. Now I can see it a lot better. So what I want to do next is I want to remove this white background. It was kind of hard to see a white background on a white background, so I wanted to take it out because my thing is the more I take out, the more I can put in. So we're going to focus on .rhap container. Now I don't want to touch this area because this says everything focus. So I'm going to come down below and I'm going to say rhap underscore container. And I'm going to focus on the background color. So the background color, since it is RGB, I think it is RGB. So background color, I'm going to replace with RGB and say, in this case, RGBA 0, 0, 0, and 0. When I save it, what's going to happen is, what should happen is, but it's not refreshing. The next change I want to do is change the color around inside this box, the shadow, and I also want to change the look of the color of this button. So for fun, we're going to go to super dark mode. I'm going to add a body background color just for demonstration purposes only. I'll say background color and change it to black. I want my website, there it is. Now I can see it a lot better. So what I want to do next is I want to remove this white background. It was kind of hard to see a white background on a white background, so I wanted to take it out because my thing is the more I take out, the more I can put in. So we're going to focus on .rhap container. Now I don't want to touch this area because this says everything focus. So I'm going to come down below and I'm going to say rhap underscore container. And I'm going to focus on the background color. So the background color, since it is RGB, I think it is RGB. So background color, I'm going to replace with RGB and say, in this case, RGBA 0, 0, 0, and 0. When I save it, what's going to happen is, what should happen is, but it's not refreshing. And if this is the case where it's just not making any changes for you, this is because your CSS files are not in proper alignment. Let me stop this for a second. And yes, I have to update Gatsby. Thank you very much. What you'll find here is that since I put the library to my styles inside of my index, this is lower than my custom. So what I have to do here, and this is an option for you, is I'm going to cut this area. And since I'm running my design inside of my components, I'm going to move it to components. And in my layout.js, you'll see that I have my custom CSS file. What I want to do is I'm just going to drop it in there. So I have my Bootstrap up top, my styles in the middle, and my custom at the very bottom. Now when I save it and I go Gatsby develop, while it's running this, the reason why I do this is that I could, I'll save that file. I could write important right here. Come on, I thought I hit the exclamation point. And it would work, but my thing is that when I write important, I'm readjusting in a not good way to setting up my CSS. So for me, it's really important that I don't use important, but I take it out. Now the result of that design in that custom, notice what it looks like. And notice all what it looks like. Notice how the color of the type matches the color of the type per React Bootstrap. So what it also did was it also incorporated the design elements. So once again, if I were to, come on, there we go. If I just simply comment it out, notice how the white text shows up. And when I flip it back to background, now the colors change altogether. So you can remove it by saying RGBA. The reason why I put the A is because I want it to utilize the background color. If you want to put something else, like let's say we want a blue background, now I've got a blue background in here. So I can change the background either to none, essentially saying RGBA, or what I can do is I can then say, let me set a specific color. The next thing I want to do is I can change the color. That blue is going to drive me absolutely crazy. So let's go back to 0, 0, 0, 0. And what that really means is saying the alpha is 0, thereby transparent, thereby use the background color, which happens to be body. So the next thing I want to do is I want to set up the SVG to change the color. So because we use SVG files, what I can say is RHAP SVG color, and we'll say white. And notice now how much brighter it goes. This can be lighter or darker depending upon how you want it to work. The reason why this is the case is you want to make sure people can see that area, and SVGs can be controlled by code. So any SVG file, which in this case there's only one, contains white, or I might want to put sandy brown. This should be interesting. So I can change the color of this, and when I click, notice how because I'm using the SVG file, it turned them both in that direction. I generally don't like to change this area that much. I like to keep this pretty clean, but I usually set my button to white because what that's going to do is that'll alert people to see where to click. So like in this design right here, this is still a different color. This is just your normal kind of gray area, but I wanted to make sure that the white was really clear to see where to click first. That to me is usability just 101. The last thing I want to change is this time area because if you can tell, it's really hard to read on a dark screen. So what I'm going to do is when I went into Chrome, I'm looking for the RHAP time class. And in here, what I'm going to do is say RHAP, and if we look at it, time. So I'll say time, now I can say color, white. And now what I have, you might want to make this a different color. So you might want to say in this case, not white, but RGBA, and we'll say 255, 255, 255, and 0.7. That'll be 70% gray per utilizing the background of black. Now again, I used RGBA because in this case, my design calls for a pure black. Thereby I can use a percent to indicate what I want the numbers to be. I click on play and it still plays with all the numbers working properly. So this is just a preview of how you can change the look of your HTML5 audio player. I went into the Chrome inspector and I said, you know what, let's add this, and this. And it'll work perfectly on either side. So this is the small size and this is the large size. So this is just a starting gauge to how you want to make it look inside of React and Gatsby JS. If you want access to these source code files so you can see how I built this, head over to patreon.com/adesignerwhocodes, and I have a founding member club. I'm only looking to open this to 20 people right now at just $3 a month. And what this gives you is all the future access that I'm setting up. This was from video 43, React Bootstrap cards. And I'll add this source file to a future post inside of patreon.com only for up to 20 people that signs up, or you can jump into the code club for 20 of 20. This is how I keep things moving financially, setting up great YouTube videos on A Designer Who Codes. Did you get this working? Great. If not, I give you a backup plan by hopping over to my Patreon account /patreon.com/adesignerwhocodes. As always, I am Haydn with A Designer Who Codes, and I'll catch you on the next video. Ready to continue becoming a better web designer through code? Check out more of my videos through my channel, A Designer Who Codes. Thanks so much for watching.